Welcome everyone to Big V TV on a Friday night. Game of the round 6 coming at you. Craig and myself are going to preview 12 games from round 6. Craig, it's a big round actually, coming through to 1/3 of the 2018 season. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to before we kick off tonight's show?
Yeah, so hitting the second third of the season, this is really where it's going to sort itself out. If you're not in your top 6 after this third, you're probably not playing finals. I think it's fair to say.
That's fair enough. And I say 1/3 too. Some youth divisions actually play 16 rounds, so we're getting into the crux of the season. Let's kick off with Youth League 2 Women. There's some fixtures on screen, but the game we want to cast our eyes over is Werribee against Southern Peninsula. The Sharks are 5-0, but Werribee haven't been too bad despite their 2-3 record.
Yeah, Werribee can put the ball in the basket. Offense is their game. Unfortunately, they come up against the best defense in the competition in Southern Peninsula. Juliet Roysmith's been very good for them and had a great game last week.
Absolutely. Southern Peninsula, the best defensive team of the competition. Should be a good game there. Look for the Sharks contributors to sort of spread the load a little bit. Youth League 2 men, Frankston take on Collingwood as our game of the round, as fixtures are on screen for the remainder. 4-2 the Blues, Collingwood 4-1. The Blues have won 3 on the trot.
Yeah, and they're coming off multiple 50-point victories, so to say they're in some form is a bit of an understatement. Collingwood have been one of the best teams in the comp for 2 years now. Collingwood have had a couple of superstars who haven't had to do as much in the last few weeks. You know, last year we got used to saying Athian Manuel and Dang Dutt.
Yep.
They've had some more contributors this year, but look for those stars to take over if they need to.
Yeah, Luke Dalcorn for the Blues as well, averaging 15.5 points, just under 7 rebounds per game, so look out for him as well on the other side. Let's look at Youth League 1 Women. There's this weekend's games on screen, but Keilor at 5-1 take on McKinnon at 3-3. A little bit inconsistent, the Cougars, but can certainly match it with the best when they get going.
Yeah, Emma Crease leading the team at 18 points per game. At least Parry shooting at 37.5 from three-point land. They shoot it well as a team from the three-point spot. As we take a look at their shot chart, they do get up a lot of threes, a lot of stuff in the paint as well. Well coached out there. Keilor first in points off turnovers in the league, so they are going to really try and pressure McKinnon. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes, because pressuring teams can open up a few passing lanes and a few shots behind the arc. Interesting when you look at that shot chart for McKinnon. First, their three-point percentage. They take a lot from the 45, none from the top of the three-point line, actually. So that's an interesting one to take a look at. Let's look at Youth League 1 men. There's some fixtures. Werribee at 6-1 take on Sunbury at 7-0 is our game of the round. Werribee lost to Waverley last week as their first loss of the season. And it's pretty tight between the two sides. Yeah, a bit of a no-brainer for game of the round, this one. Two teams hoping to figure at the business end of the season. Sunbury shot the ball well all season. First in field goal percentage. Werribee, first in opponent field goal percentage. So something's got to give. Rock in a hard place. It's going to be interesting to see if Sunbury can keep rolling and stay undefeated. You take a look at Werribee's shot chart, actually. There's a lot of corner threes, and they're pretty good at them too. Yeah, they are, and that's going to be that's their bread and butter. And also inside is where they've been looking. A lot of mid-range jumpers that have missed, actually, from either wing, if you take a look at the shot chart on the screen. Sure, that'll be something to take a look at throughout the week. Let's look forward to Moulton VYC Women. There's some fixtures on screen now. Kilsyth take on Ringwood. It's first and second in the Watson Conference. Yeah, and first and second in field goal percentage in the competition as well. We're really seeing two of the best teams go at it. Maddie Taranto's a great start to the season, averaging 7-7, and Ringwood, they've won 4 on the trot. Nahira Ravikumar has been great as always. Yeah, shot chart's going to be a thing, a common occurrence tonight. We take a look at the Hawks' shot chart. Not a lot of threes, but they're very spread out. And as you mentioned in the last one, not too many long two-pointers, a lot of stuff in the paint. Yeah, it's a nice, efficient shot chart there. Of course, you still got to make the shot at the end of the day, and you want to get comfortable shots in motion, but good to see not too many long twos there. Absolutely, 37% from the field. The Hawks good for first in the competition, as you mentioned, Craig. Let's take a look at Moulton VYC men. There's some fixtures. Melbourne and Nuttawading, two powerhouses of the competition. Obviously, the Spectres made the grand final last season.
both struggling to start 2018, 7th and 8th in Terrell Conference respectively.
The Spectres had a slow start to last season as well, didn't they? Didn't look like they'd play finals until all of a sudden they managed to win about 10 or 11 in a row and get there. But both these teams would have come into the season thinking, okay, we can be one of the best teams in the competition. They've both struggled. It's a huge contest, as you said, they're 7th and 8th. But you know, everyone's going to still be nervous of them. You go up and play them, doesn't matter how they've been, either of the teams, you're still going to be at your A game.
Well, I think reinforcements is going to surely be on the way about mid-season once college commitments dry up. Melbourne last in opponents' field goal percentage, just giving up way too much at the moment.
Yeah, but Mason Gaze has been in some good form. He had a good weekend, shooting the ball well from three-point range this season. He lit it up, hit 7 threes last week in a game. He needs to keep going for Melbourne because they really haven't had a consistent offensive spark so far.
I think if you look at the statistics for this one, Nunawading's probably going in firm favourite. As I mentioned, Melbourne last in opponents' field goal percentage. Nunawading third in field goal percentage, first in effective field goal percentage. We touched on Monday, Jack Gandolfo leading the way, 13.7 points per game. I think the stats lead in Nunawading's favour.
Yeah, and Nunawading at 2 and 4, they lost 2 overtime games last weekend, so that could very easily be 3 and 3 or 4 and 2 in fact. So they probably are the informed team despite coming in at the same record.
Yeah, great point you make, Craig. Let's look at Division 2 women. There's some fixtures for round 6. Craigieburn at 4-0 take on North East, who are just coming into a little bit of form.
Yeah, Nicole Cameron leading Craigieburn with 13 and 10, always good to average a double-double. They are last in field goal attempts. They played a pretty slow pace, Craigieburn, but they're third in field goal percentage. They really hunt good shots, and they're first in opponent field goal percentage. So if you're shooting the ball well and your opponent isn't, you're clearly doing something right. And I think they know what rhythm they play well at, and they try to get other teams out of rhythm.
There's a reason why they're 4-0. I think the stats lean towards Craigieburn's favour in that one as well. Division 2 men, there's round 6 matches on screen. Coburg are in some form, 5-2 up against Mildura.
Yeah, they've only played the 2 games at home so far. They're 1-1 in them, but they've played very good on the road. 4 players in double figures. They're a very hard team to guard. You don't know who's going to pop up each game, day to day. Mildura lost last week at home, which is a shock, as we all know, to Camberwell, who had a great effort over there. Dallas Brown looked good last week, though, averaging 17 points and 5.8 boards. Yeah,
Coburg certainly leading the way offensively. Pat Green, Jeremiah Jurich, just a number of players that can get it done there. Let's look at Division 1 women. Top of the table clash in this one. 6-1 Casey up against 5-1 Mildura.
A bit of a shock loss last week for Casey. They've been in some brilliant form before then, going up and defeating Warrnambool over there. If you defeat Warrnambool up there, you feel pretty good about yourself any week. But a shock loss, and they'll be looking to bounce back against Mildura, who's been very good. Obviously going to be a tough road trip for Mildura, probably the toughest they'll have to make down to Casey, but they are 2-0 on the road so far.
Certainly defence versus offence in this one. Casey have the best defensive rating. Mildura have the best offensive rating in the competition. So 2 teams butt heads, and it's going to be interesting to see which one this swings their way. Division 1 men, there's some fixtures on screen. Warrandyte and Warrnambool, both currently about mid-table teams, but the eyes are certainly on Warrnambool, who have their first road game in a while.
Yeah, I think we expected Warrnambool maybe to win a couple more than this. They lost the one at home to Chelsea. That, you know, any loss they have at home is a bit of a shock at this point. And Warrandyte have been playing pretty well. It's going to be an interesting game, and one that I think both teams will need to look to get the win to move themselves into the upper echelon of the competition. A very, very clumped up division, Div 1. There's a lot of teams sitting between 4 and 2 wins right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Warrandyte overtime loss last week to Collingwood. Had I won that, it would have been 4-1. They would have been going into this pretty confident too. So even contest in Division 1 men. Let's take a look at state champ women. Southern Peninsula against Waverley. 2 informed teams of the competition is our game of the round.
Yeah, Southern Pen will be short on, I think, Olivia Pollard. Will be at the under-18 Australian Junior Championships in Geelong, and also be short on Jared Hillier, because he coaches that team.
Of course, that's right. Vic Country head coach, and Liv plays for Victoria Country, so we wish them the best of luck in the under-18s at Geelong. Yeah,
and Josh Alley's been incredible so far this season. Last weekend was no different. She lit it up, but on the season, she's going at 19 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 4.5 assists, not bad for about an 18-year-old.
Yeah, quickly becoming a star of the competition, isn't she, Jazz Shelley? Another star who's in some pretty good form is Kelly Bowen from the Falcons.
Yeah, she's going at 17.5 points and 9.5 rebounds. Been a star for years now. They brought Tegan and Cunningham off the bench last week. Be interesting to see if they keep doing that. One of the best 6 men we've probably ever had in the competition if that continues.
Plenty of depth out at Waverley there, so should be a good contest. And finally, state champ men to wrap it all up. Keilor take on Knox, both teams at 500.
Yeah, big game this one. 2-2 and 3-3 respectively. 2 good wins for Keilor, and then they've lost their last 2 and slipped a little bit in form. Jordan Coleman going at 22 points a game, 4.5 rebounds. Taylor Dyson's had a good start for Knox. He's going at 17 points per game, but really interesting matchup. I can't get a handle on Knox at this point in the season. They're up, they're down, they're competitive with good teams. They slipped to some some worse teams. It's confusing so far.
Certainly tend to agree there. Can't get a read on Knox. Last in field goal percentage at 38%, which is unusual for the Raiders. Who are you tipping this one?
I think I'll take Keilor at home.
I think I'll tend to agree. Keilor being the home side.
I feel safer with Keilor though. Like Knox could win this by 10 or lose by 20.
Just a little bit inconsistent.
I feel like if Keilor, you know what you're going to get.
Bit consistent compared to the Raiders. That's round 6 previewed on Big V TV. Craig, myself and Justin.
One way, just cut you off quickly, one big thing
Absolutely.
I think we need to bring up. Ringwood equals Snowy 400 versus Casey.
How could we forget? State champ men, Ringwood take on Casey this weekend. Matt Snowball's 400th game. A big shout out to you, Snowy. Congratulations. We hope all the best as well.
One of the best players this league has ever had.
Absolutely. That's round 6 previewed on Big V TV. Craig, myself and Justin Nelson will be back Monday and Tuesday to wrap it all up. 5:30 PM on Big V TV.